You know how sometimes you get that sinking feeling where you think things are just not going to go my way today? Well, I was supposed to be videoing 2 ploughing matches this weekend, but they've both been cancelled because it's just rained and rained and rained and snowed on top of that. But a busy summer at the shows has left quite a lot of work to do in the workshop, so we'll start off and take a look at some of that. The first job is I need to put together one of my steam engines that's been apart for a boiler test. And once we get that sorted, we'll move on and start doing some repairs on the little International B275. But you know I like to get a few working tractors in all my videos, so I thought I'd just add a few clips from a ploughing match earlier in the year. Before I dismantle anything else, I want to put this Ruston Hornsby portable back together. It's been apart for a 10-year boiler test, and we need to get all the lagging back on the barrel. Here are all the slats laying on the floor, a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. So there you go, that's the first part of it. This wood's designed to insulate the boiler to improve the thermal efficiency of the steam engine. It's a traditional way of doing it with wood like this. I've got some that I've done with a more modern way, but I'll show you those in a different video. The next job, we've got to get on and do the left side. A little bit more difficult because you've got the flywheel in the way. We've also got this manhole we've got to go around. But it won't take long, we're getting there. Well, I'll have to take that back. This side wasn't more difficult, it's gone on really quick. I think it's because I've got less bits and pieces to sort through. So the next job is to get the lagging sheets on, and they're laying down here on the floor. Right, we've got a couple of lagging sheets on, look. This side wasn't too difficult, but the other side was a bit more of a problem because the flywheel's in the way, but I got it on. Just need to get the rest of them on, line everything up and get the brass bands on. So I'm working away on this, and I need to take this mud hole out to get the rear sheet on, and I realised it's still full of water. I'd forgotten. The reason we took it apart was for a hydraulic test. And to do a hydraulic test you have to have it full of water. To complete a hydraulic test, which luckily you only have to do every 10 years, you have to take all the lagging off the boiler, and then you have to pump it up to a high pressure and see if it leaks anywhere. Under the supervision of a boiler inspector, I would quickly add. To get the sheet on this side, we've got to remove the pump, and the sheet will go over the top of the hole, and then we'll put the pump back on over the top of the sheet. So we've got the pump off and we've got the sheet on. I think everything will fit together okay when we put the bands around and pull it up tight. And here's the other side, looking okay once again with the brass bands. It'll all pull up and look lovely. And down here on the floor is the remainder of the bits that I need to fit once I get the lagging sheets on properly. So quite a lot of progress since the last video. We've now got the pump back on properly, and we've got the bands on. Everything's pulled up nice and tight, and it all seems to line up okay. There's the flywheel side, looking pretty good. Got a bit of a scratch down here I'll have to deal with. That's not very good, is it? So next job is the exhaust pipe. which goes from here through underneath the crank and along to here, so the exhaust goes up the chimney. And the parts for it are laid down here on the floor like I showed you before. I've got the exhaust pipe on now. So we're almost complete. In fact, I don't think I can think of anything else I've got to put back on. So the only thing I've got to decide is, do I steam it or not? I'm not sure if I'll bother, because it means filling it all up with water and making it watertight again, and it'll have to come apart around the mud holes, etc., for the boiler inspector before we take it out next year. So probably that's it for the winter. We'll put this one to sleep for a bit and we'll start on something else. And that's this little International B275. It's getting a little bit tired in one or two places, as you can see by the amount of oil that's running out the front of it. It's also got a problem with a valve on the engine, so we're going to have to get the head off. And I've no doubt when we do that we'll find a dozen other things we need to fix at the same time. The other area where we've got problems is the brakes. These brake units, they have expanding plates in them that push on discs, and the pads on the discs are worn out. That's not a problem. I've got some of those. It won't take very long to do. This tractor came new to the farm in 1961, and at that time it was the main workhorse. It's been used pretty much continuously ever since, either on farm duties or on vintage duties, like the one you can see here, unloading from the Class SF combine at a demonstration. In all that time it's had at least one engine rebuild and 2 repaints. So the bottom line is, it's a family heirloom and we've got to look after it. So let's get into it. We'll get the bonnet up, have a look, get the battery disconnected, and I think we'll probably do the brakes first. So I'm thinking I might do the left side of the tractor first, because there's nothing in the way. On the other side we've got the handbrake in the way, and I can't quite remember. It's a long while since I did one of these, and I can't remember exactly how much room I need to get it apart. I'm thinking it might be easier if I take the toolbox off, so I'll see if the bolts will come undone. That's better. Tight as well. Right, so it's a long while since I've taken one of these apart, and I can't remember exactly which bit we have to take off, but I think we have to take this off. Let's try something a bit quicker. There we go. Now I should be able to lift it out. Pull off the inner disc. So here we go, let's have a look at what we've got. So that's the inner lining. It's quite badly worn just here, look. It's not down to the rivet heads though, so it's not as bad as I have seen them. And now we've got to get this casing out, but we just need to clean the dirt out from around here. And there you have it, the heart of the braking system. Your foot pedal pulls on there, these two links come together, these two discs rotate in opposite directions, and they've got balls inside them, look, and the ball pushes the plates apart. Really simple, used on a number of tractors of this age. So, what does the outer plate look like? Once again, it's worn right down the grooves here. Oh, and here as well, look. Yep, I think it's time we change those. They're also quite hard, which I guess is age. I don't know the last time they were changed. As I've said before, this tractor came new in 1961. I'm sure somebody will have changed the brakes in all that time, but I don't remember it. So what we've got to do now is clean everything up and fit some new linings. Just rivet it on, look, just fit some new linings, and then we're away. We can put it back together. So bearing in mind what we learnt doing the other side, I think we're going to have to move the handbrake out the way. Certainly it'll be the easiest way to do it, so we'll just undo that and hopefully we can rotate it to the point where it won't be in the way. The worst thing about doing this job on camera is you can't get your hand where you want it because the camera's in the way, but we'll get there. Just see the bolt I'm trying to get out now is holding this spring on the diff lock. Now I was told the other day that the early Internationals had the spring on the diff lock, but it was a dealer job to go around and take them all off because they were worried about the pedal being up whilst the diff lock was still in. And if you don't understand entirely what I mean, when you push the diff lock in, it pushes this peg in, which is engaging the differential lock inside, and you do it by pressing on here and it pushes it up. But if the dip is locked in, it won't come out when the pedal comes up. So in this circumstance, pedal is down, diff lock's in, but that peg could stay in there when the pedal's up. So they took all the springs off. This one obviously was never done. Well, I've got it off and I've got it this far, but it appears I also need to dismantle the diff lock pedal assembly. So here's the other side, and the first thing you'll notice is we've got a lot of oil in here, so there's an oil leak somewhere that we need to find. It could be coming out the hydraulics and leaking through, but I suspect that it's not. I suspect that it's a leak on the transmission, but we'll investigate that later. So let's see if we can get it apart. Yeah, that's why we've got no brakes. Look at that. It's all a bit wet. Yeah, that's not going to work very well, is it? So we're going to have to fix that leak, or we'll never have any brakes. Of course, we don't know how long it's been leaking. So after some research, it became obvious that the oil isn't leaking out of the seal just here. It's leaking out of here, out the end of the diff lock. And I've checked with an expert, and I've been told how you get this apart. So watch carefully and we'll see if it works. Right, well, as you can see, I've decided it's time to take the wheel off and take the mudguard off, because we've got to get the diff lock assembly apart in order to put a new seal in it. I've had instruction on how to do it, but I'm not getting on very well with the mudguard on. So there's no ring there, look, on the outside, and you may not be able to see it, but there's one just there on the inside as well that I can just see. So what I need to do is find 2 new O-rings and put in it. So the next job is to pressure wash the oil off of all of this and put it back together. But before we can pressure wash it, we've got to fix the pressure washer. It works okay, but the hot water's not working, and I think all that oil we're going to need hot water, so I'll get stuck into that and see if I can get it going. So that's what it looks like underneath the cover, and I've worked out which bit goes where, and it's going to be something on the burner side, obviously, because it's the burner that doesn't work. So I've traced all the different elements, and now I'll just work through them with a multimeter and see which bit isn't working properly. I'll perhaps start with the fuel tank down here, because it's got a fuel sender in it, and if the fuel level gets low it turns the burner off. Right, well, I've got the pressure washer fixed, so it's time to wash everything down and get ready to put it together again. Right, so I think that's everything clean. It doesn't look too bad in there, look. All the oil's gone. I was hoping to get away without having to take these apart, and I think I can. So we're back in the workshop. Everything's nice and clean. We just need the parts we're waiting for now, and we can put it back together. So that's it for this video. I thought we'd just finish with a quick look at these 2 machines that I'm working on this weekend while it's been snowing and raining outside. I hope you like what you've seen. If you have, don't forget to give us a like. And if you subscribe, you'll see when we start on part 2 of fixing this little International B275. Thanks for watching. See you all again next week.